Hello, O'Brien guitar students. Today I'm going to give you an introduction to the guitar and how to play it or produce a sound out of the instrument. Okay? First, we're going to deal with the parts of the guitar. We have what's called the headstock, where the strings are connected to tuning pegs, and tuning pegs are used to adjust the sound of the strings so that the notes are correct. Right? This part of the guitar is called the neck. Attached to the neck is what we call the fingerboard. And on the fingerboard we have these metal bars that are called frets. And the purpose of the frets is to show you where to place your fingers to produce different sounds or different pitches. Okay? And now this part here is called the body of the guitar. And it's kind of like a box. And this is where all the sound comes from, or it helps you to produce a sound. Okay, this round part here is the sound hole. Okay, and at the end here we have the bridge, and as you can see, the strings are connected to this area. Okay, and below here is what we call a pick guard, and I'll explain what that is in a minute, because that has to do with the right hand, and I want to explain how to use the right hand first. Okay. So when you strike the strings, you're going to use the right hand to do so. Now there are two basic ways of producing a sound on the guitar. One way is to use your thumb. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate that first. Okay, now the way you do it is to take your right hand, place it here over the sound hole. These fingers here are going to rest on the body of the guitar, and the thumb is going to do all the work with regard to plucking the strings. Okay, so the way you do it is in the beginning stages, just to get used to playing all the strings. You're going to use what's called a rest stroke. So you're going to play each note individually and come to rest on the next string higher. Doing that, you want to make sure you're close to the to the strings rather, and that you're not plucking the strings too hard. So I'm going to give you a close-up view of this. Okay, so again, you're placing your right hand here over the sound hole, and you're going to pluck the strings gently. And with this exercise, you want to make sure your thumb comes to rest on the next string higher. And all you're doing is getting the feel of the strings and getting used to plucking one string at a time. I'll do that one more time. Okay, so that's the basic way to use the thumb. There are many different other techniques. And another way you can strike the strings is to use what's called a pick. And this is a pick. Okay? And he's going to do the same thing as the thumb does. That is, you're going to use the right hand to produce a sound. Now, the way you hold the pick is like so. Okay? You got your thumb here, and then your index finger is curved. You place the pick here on the first part of the index finger, and you place your thumb over that. And that's how you hold the pick, like so. Okay? And you notice the pointed end of the pick is sticking out. Another way to do it is like so the round part is sticking out. That actually is the way I do it. It just feels more comfortable to me. So if you decide to play with a pick, you can try it either way and see which way works best for you. Now this here is called the pick guard, and the purpose that serves is that it helps to prevent the guitar from getting scratched while the pick is being used. Okay? So, the technique with the pick is the same as with the thumb. You're simply going to play each string individually, come to rest on the next string higher. I'm going to do it again. This technique, by the way, is called the rest stroke. And I do this in the beginning stages so that people really get used to playing one string at a time, and they get a feel for each string and the distance between each string. Okay? So that's basic the basic right hand technique. There are many others. Guitar players also play with all their fingers for certain things as well, which we'll get into at a later point. Okay, so with the left hand, before you place your left hand on the fingerboard, you want to make sure you have the right shape. So you want to hold your hand like you're holding a ball, like this. Okay? And you notice with my fingers there, they're spread apart. Okay? And in the beginning stages, it's hard for students, some students anyway, to keep their fingers spread apart. But the objective is as you progress and as you practice, you'll become more accustomed to having your fingers spread apart like so. So here's what it looks like in front, and here's what it looks like in the back there. You notice the thumb basically is placed in between the middle finger and the ring finger. Okay? Now you take this shape. If you've got this shape, you're all set to do whatever you need to do on the instrument. So we take this shape and we bring it up to the fingerboard. Okay? Now I'm going to get into the placement of the fingers. Okay? So what you have to know in order to do that is you have to know, and I'm going to show you an exercise, and what you need to know to do that is you need to know the numbers of the strings. So each string has a number, from the highest pitch string to the lowest pitch string. So this is the first string, okay, second string, third string, fourth string, fifth string, sixth string, okay? So in order to do this exercise I'm about to show you, and anything else that you play, you need to know the number of the strings, each individual string, and the number of the frets, okay? So you have first fret, second fret, third fret, fourth fret, and all the way up to the 12th fret. And some guitars, like this one, actually goes beyond the 12th fret. But for our purposes, the open string up to the 12th fret is all we need to be concerned about. Okay? This particular exercise I'm going to do is going to involve the first 4 frets. Okay? So now with the left hand, you also have to know some numbers here and number assignments. Okay? So each finger has a number. So the index finger is 1, middle finger is 2, ring finger is 3, pinky is 4. So when I tell you to do something on the instrument, I'm going to always talk about, okay, take your first finger, or whatever finger it is, and place it, in this case, on the first fret of the first string. So again, just to review that, when I tell you to do something, I'm going to refer to a finger number, a fret number, and a string number. So I'll do it again. First finger behind the first fret of the first string. Okay, and when you place your finger down, you want to make sure it's curved like so. Okay, so you place it down here. And then you want to apply pressure so that you can produce a clear sound. Okay, now if you don't apply enough pressure, you'll get this kind of sound. You just need to press down firmly and you'll produce a clear sound. That's the objective. Okay? Alright, so you've placed the first finger down. So we'll play that one. Okay? Then you use your second finger, the ring finger, and place that behind the second fret. And you play that. Then you take your third finger, place behind the third fret. And then your fourth finger, place that behind the fourth fret. Okay? So I'm going to give you a close-up view of that. When you place your fingers behind the frets, you want to be close to the fret. You don't want to be too far away. You don't want to be on top of the fret. You want to be behind it. Okay? So your first finger is behind the first fret, first string. Then you place your second finger behind the second fret, first string. Then your third finger behind the third fret, fourth string. And the fourth finger behind the fourth fret. Fourth fret, first string. Okay? So I'm going to do that again. And I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to show you. Okay? So one other point I want to make is, as you're going through each finger, okay, we're starting on the first finger, right? And when we go to the second finger, we don't have to keep the first finger down. We just lift it up slightly. Then we go to the third finger, keeping the second finger up slightly, but not still pressed down, and then the fourth finger. So I'm going to do that again. You want to notice how as I go to each new finger, I keep the previous finger close to the fingerboard, but not pressing down on the fingerboard. Okay, so that's the exercise. And again, what you need to know are the string number, right? The finger number, right? And the fret number. And you have to be able to place the finger in the right place, of course. Behind the fret, curve the finger, apply pressure. And with the right hand, don't pick too hard. You don't want to do this, because you'll get a sound that's not very good. Okay, you want a clear sound. Okay, so I'm going to show you the exercise. I'm going to play through it. As I'm playing through it, I'm going to describe what I'm doing. So I'm going to start on the first string and play, this exercise using the first, second, third, and fourth fingers, right? And as I go through it, I'll tell you what string I'm on. So I'm going to start on the first string, then second finger, third finger, fourth finger. And I cross over to the second string, first finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger. And I go to the third string, first finger, second finger, third finger. Then the fourth string, second finger, third finger, fourth finger. And I go to the fifth string, second finger, third finger, fourth finger. Then the sixth string, first finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger. Okay, so that's how you do the exercise. Remember, it's the same thing on every string. And what you have to be careful of is that with the right hand that you're plucking the right string, and then with the left hand, make sure you're placing your fingers behind the frets and you're applying pressure. And it's important to keep the fingers as close to the fingerboard as possible. And again, in the beginning stages, it's challenging to do this because your hand and your fingers, aren't used to doing it. So really, in the beginning stages, I have students just play one string at a time and stop in between each string. I may have what I recommend in beginning stages, if you have a guitar at home, to just do it out of time. Just get used to placing your finger down, okay, before you strike the string. Make sure you're watching your left hand to make sure that you have your fingers behind the frets. Okay, you want to watch your right hand or your left hand for that. Then with the right hand, of course, you want to make sure you're plucking the right string. Okay, so those are two things you got to watch out for. So I highly recommend you go through and you play each note individually and just take your time to make sure you're always pressing down behind the right fret, applying pressure, and the fingers are curved. And then with the right hand, you want to make sure that you're plucking the right string and that you're not plucking the string too hard. Okay, so I just got finished doing this exercise with the thumb. Now I'm going to demonstrate it with the pick. And again, it's the same thing. Remember, you're going to hold the pick like so between the first segment of the first finger and then the thumb. Okay, and the pointed part usually is sticking out like that. Though, like I was saying earlier, I hold the pick like this. Okay, so I'm going to do the exact same exercise. What I want you to do is to watch my right hand to see how I use it. I'm going to move up a little closer so you can see it in detail. Okay, so we have this. Now the second string, that's first finger, third finger, fourth finger. The third string, first finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fourth string, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth string, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, sixth string, first finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger. Okay? So that's a warm-up exercise I use for two basic reasons. One is to get used to the feel of all the strings. And then the other reason I do this is because you want to strengthen the hand, okay? The left hand, and get used to stretching the fingers out, okay? Because that's very important, because as we do more things on the instrument, your hands will be conditioned, your hands and your fingers will be conditioned to do what we do, okay? So every time you start practicing, you want to do this exercise first. And again, in beginning stages, you're going to go and do it without a steady beat. You want to just watch your right and left hands, and make sure you're always placing your finger down behind the frets on the left hand, and with the right hand, of course, you watch it. Make sure you're plucking the right string. And that's why I suggest not to pluck the strings too hard, because you want to get a good sound and you want to avoid hitting other strings. Okay? So that's a warm-up exercise that prepares you to play music on the instrument. If you skip over this, more than likely you won't have a good sound, and whatever you play won't sound good. Okay? So that's the basics of playing the instrument, basic mechanics. So I'm going to do a quick recap of what it is you should know to get started on the instrument. It's important to know the parts of the instrument. You have the headstock, right, or the head. And on that head you have your tuning pegs, okay, where the strings are attached and where you adjust the tuning of the instrument. And we'll talk about tuning the instrument at a later point in time, but just be aware of what these parts are and what they do. You attach the strings to the pegs, and you use these devices here to adjust the strings so that they create the right pitch. Okay? And this part here, it's called the nut. That's where the strings cross over. Alright? And then you have the fingerboard. The fingerboard is attached to the neck. And sometimes those two terms are used interchangeably. When some people talk about the neck, they're talking about the fingerboard as well. But you want to understand that here's the fingerboard here, and then it's attached to this part. Okay? Then of course you have the strings, of course. We talked about the strings. And then on the fingerboard you have an important part of the guitar that's called frets. And they tell you, they mark where you are to put your fingers to create different pitches, okay? And then you go here and you have the body of the guitar, which really produces the sound of the instrument, okay? Here's the sound hole where the sound comes out of. You have a pick guard to prevent the pick from scratching the body of the instrument. And then you have the bridge here where the strings are connected. And these are the pegs that they're connected to. Okay, so that concludes this video, and for this homework assignment I will be giving you a series of questions to answer, and the best way to go through that assignment is to stop the video when you're trying to answer a question. If something's not clear, you just go back and answer the question based on what you've heard. This is a lot of information, so the good thing about YouTube is that you can go back, rewind, and check each topic that I've covered in this particular video. Okay? And again, the purpose of this exercise is to increase the hand strength and also to increase the flexibility in your fingers. Much like whenever you do an athletic event, whatever it is, your body has to be conditioned in order to do that activity efficiently. So that's the same concept here. And what's doing all the work here is the hand and the fingers on whatever hand, on the left and right hands. Okay, so that's pretty much concludes. And one other thing I want to add is that you're working on this to achieve a good sound on the instrument. Okay, I've mentioned it more than one time in this video, but I can't emphasize it enough. Sound is very important, because if your sound is poor, whatever you play, even if it's advanced, you're gonna have a sound that's not good. Okay, so that's it for now, and I hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me a message through email or the Google Classroom, and I'll be happy to answer those questions. Okay, see you later.